What's going on, guys? Today we have Freeman here from Team Rec. It's been a couple weeks since we've been able to do a video with the summertime getting a little more busy for us. But here we are again. I managed to go to locals after a month break and managed to actually get first place with a deck that I saw popping up a little bit at some of the European Nationals, like in the top cut. So I figured I'd give it a shot. I don't have, it's not exactly Mystic Mine Turbo like a lot of the ones there were, but it's definitely still a decent rogue option that's able to play Mystic Mine, and Mystic Mine is so format defining that it just can steal game ones very easily, and even in like post side it can still steal games even if it just stalls for a couple of turns, which I actually managed to do a few times. So just a very good card, and it's a very good control deck on top of that, so combo in that with Mystic Mine, it's just a very strong option in my opinion right now. So we'll get right into it. The monster lineup is going to be pretty standard. We have your 3 Marionetter, 3 Meluseek, 3 Multi-Faker, the 2 Silk. I would never play 3 of this card, but I would also never play 1, even though it does suck to draw. We have the 1 Conquery. This card's kind of insane. You don't ever want to see it, but when you search it, you're searching it and it just wins you the game most of the time. And I actually decided to play one of this new card, the Pukari. I never got like the dream hand of like Meluseek plus Pukari, so you can like chain block your Meluseek search. But it came up a few times just to kind of extend my board a little bit to I mean, it's okay. I don't think I'd ever play more than 1, but it's probably worth the 1-of slot in my opinion. And then to round out the monsters, we're simply playing 3 Ash. We're just playing 3 Ash, 3 Impermanents for our hand traps. I wasn't too afraid of going second, to be honest, mostly because I had Mystic Mine in my build. And a lot of the decks at locals especially aren't super combo oriented, so I wasn't too worried about not having a ton of hand traps. Onto the spells, we have 3 Extravagance for draw power. I don't own Prosperity, so this was really my best option. This has always been a good option for Altergeist since you don't really need your extra deck at all, and just the draw 2 can be super powerful, so this card was really good all day. It's also Ash bait. If you have like this plus Meluseek, they'll always Ash this. That way you can pretty much guarantee your Faker. Onto the spells, 2 Mystic Mine. We're only playing the 2. Like I said, we're not playing like the Turbo Mystic Mine build with the Mize of the Lands and stuff like that. This is just our decent option for stalling out games or completely stealing games in game 1, because a lot of decks aren't main decking outs. And even if they have outs, once you have Mystic Mine plus Meluseek plus Personal Spoofing, you could basically just infinite loop it to where you never have a monster on your board in the end phase, and you're slowly just picking away their board with your Meluseek. So once you eventually catch up over a few turns in advantage with your Meluseek, you could just get rid of your Mystic Mine, or let them get rid of your Mystic Mine by just going to 0 cards. As for other field spells, Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Every monster in your deck is Spellcaster other than Ash. This card was probably the MVP of the weekend, just kind of a hidden sleeper in my opinion, because a lot of decks need spell cards. All the Brave Engine needs spell cards, Sword Soul needs spell cards. Every deck just relies on powerful spell cards to be able to win the game, and for the same reason that they can't out Mystic Mine, they almost especially can't out this without being able to use spells. So this card actually won me a lot of game 1s as well. And this game 1 is also just really good, like post-side as well, because so many decks are siding spell trap removal, normally in the form of spells, against you, so they just can't use them at all. And a lot of decks don't really have access to easy spellcasters, that I've noticed. And to round out the spells, we're playing the 1 Terraforming. If we go first, we're able to set up Secret Village with our monster on board. If we go second, this is basically searching your Mystic Mine to be able to stall, or at least to bait out a negate. Onto the traps. For Altergeist stuff, we're playing the 2 Protocol. I feel like it's pretty standard, along with the 1 Manifestation. Nothing really crazy here. And then we have our 3 Personal Spoofing. This card is very good, and you just need to see your engine. So pretty standard stuff there, in my opinion. The 3 Impermanents that I spoke of earlier to round out our hand trap lineup. Pretty standard. We never had the dream scenario of like Imperm Faker as well. So we just played a pretty fair game all weekend, other than Mystic Mine, but we never really had too crazy of hands. I decided to play 3 Judgment as well. If we win the die roll, it's great. We always want to go first in this build. But I feel like in a deck that just wants to protect your powerful field spells, whether you're going first or second, Judgment's a decent option. I don't think I actually flipped Judgment at all weekend long. But it was kind of good in theory, I would like to think, but I didn't really see it. Other traps were main decking 3D Barrier. I felt like this was just a decent meta call. There's a lot of synchro decks going around, Sword Soul, all these punk synchro decks, which there's a few of at my locals. So I felt like this was a decent option just to call synchro most of the time. You can also call fusion against Despia, obviously, and even ritual if you run into Drytron. So it's definitely a decent option. It came up a few times this weekend, and at the very least, it's just a free trap to activate for your multi-faker, even if you just call something random, just to keep extending your board. And for the last trap of the deck, we're playing the one Metaverse. Obviously, this just activates Mystic Mine straight from the deck, or Secret Village. So definitely a decent card, and that card's at 1, so obviously we're only playing 1. In terms of the extra deck, the only things that really matter are your 3 Hextia. Everything else, other than maybe your Link Haribos, is just kind of extravagance fodder. There are a couple spots in here that I've put cards in hopes of they might come up. But really, you just need your Hextias, and you need something to link your Meluseek into, and that's pretty much your staple extra deck stuff. The rest of this is mostly filler. We're playing the Prime Banshee, never came up. We're playing this new one, the Memory Gant, never came up. We're playing a couple more Link 1s in case our extravagance is really unlucky and banishes 3 Link Haribos. But Relinquish Anima could come up if they play wrong. And then Almirage just kind of your 4th Link Haribo if it comes up. Decided to put a Link Spider in here in case for whatever reason I'm getting nibbed or something. There's just this way to get rid of the token if I needed to for whatever reason. I don't really know. Like I said, your extra deck really doesn't matter. Playing the Phoenix, we're playing the Unicorn, never came up. Because whenever you use Multi-Faker's effect, you get locked into Altergeist monsters for the turn, so none of these really ever come up. Playing the one Dark Charmer, just in case, and then the Access Code Talker, again, just in case. If for whatever reason you're starting your turn with 3+ monsters on board, you can eventually go into some of these cards maybe, but it never really comes up. In terms of sideboard, I decided to side a couple more hand traps. I decided to side 3 nibs. Sided these in a couple times over the weekend, never saw them, but they're good against the combo decks. And some of the Sword Soul players don't go into Baron right away, so they just kind of assume you don't have nib a lot of the time. But I nibbed one deck this weekend, and it won me the game. So, I mean, it was decent. I'd probably play it again. And then I'm playing 3 Token Collectors. I still think this card's very good. There's a lot of Brave and Sword Soul and stuff, so this card can either win you the game on the spot or at least buy you a turn for the most part. So I feel like Token Collector is pretty good. In terms of more trap cards, decided to side in 3 Rivalry. All your guys are spellcasters, like I said, and this card could just win you some games against certain matchups, so I felt like this was a decent option, especially when going first post-side. For going second post-side against either, Break My Board decks or other back row decks, we went with 3 Evenly. This can either bait you negate or just wipe the board completely. And if you have Evenly plus Faker, which we actually did one time this weekend, it's pretty crazy. And then for our last 3 slots, playing double Regeki just for going second post-side against all these Break My Board decks again, or just, boards that put up a lot of monsters, even if they're not negates. It can be pretty tough to deal with for this deck. And then since I didn't actually own a 3rd Regeki, I decided to play a set rotation. Just for post-side going second, this is just an extra way to get to Mystic Mine, and you just give them the Secret Village. Never came up again, but that was kind of my theory behind it, just because I didn't have the Regeki. So that's pretty much it for the deck profile. In terms of matchups, it was a 5-round tournament. We ended up going 5-0. We actually only lost a single game, and that was in the finals, and that was against Sword Soul. Round 1, we played up against Heroes. Round 2, my opponent didn't want to play against me because he knew I had Mystic Mine in my deck, so I basically sat there for 40 minutes while I waited with my free win. Round 3, we played against UA, or FA, whatever they're called. I've never actually played against that deck, but we managed to get the 2-0 there. Round 4 was against Blue Eyes, and then round 5 finals was against Sword Soul. So pretty light field this past weekend. We managed to play mostly against rogue decks, and my rogue deck is probably better than theirs, especially with Mystic Mine included. So we managed to take the win there. And then in the finals, we went to 3 games against Sword Soul. The 3rd game was actually really good, where I got down to 1,000 life points and then ended up stalling it out for a couple turns with Mystic Mine, and then we managed to gain back our advantage because trap cards are good. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the profile. It was a first place undefeated 5-0 record this past week at locals. So if you guys enjoyed, be sure to subscribe to the Team Rec Yu-Gi-Oh channel and like the video. Thanks.